The message came through the deep silence of space. A single voice, calm but filled with warning, echoed across the command bridge. To the Zephyrian Empire. This is your final warning. Do not engage the humans. For a moment no one moved. The bridge of the Imperial flagship Valcor was large and filled with dim blue lights. Screens glowed. The crew, scaled, tall beings with dark eyes, froze in place. Even the hum of the engines seemed to fade. Admiral Cthulhu stood near the wide observation window, his 4 arms clasped behind his back. The stars stretched endlessly before him, cold and distant. His face remained still, but a thin smile touched the edge of his mouth. "We don't take orders from primitives," he said softly. His officers exchanged uneasy glances. The Valcor was the pride of the Zephyrian Empire, 3 kilometers long, armored with silver plating and powered by the hearts of dying suns. Around it drifted hundreds of warships, forming a dark fleet above the edge of the solar system. They had come for Earth. Dr. Velter, the ship's science officer, stepped forward. He was smaller than most, his greenish skin marked by fine silver veins. His eyes were large and full of worry. In his trembling hands he held a data pad filled with numbers and unreadable lines. "Admiral," he began carefully, "these humans may not be primitive." Cthulhu turned slowly, his shadow stretching across the deck. "Explain yourself, Doctor." Velter tapped the screen. Strange patterns flashed across it. "Our probe studied the 3rd planet for 6 months. Yesterday it found an unknown energy field rising from the surface. Then it vanished." "Destroyed?" Cthulhu asked. "I don't know," Velter said. "But the readings are unlike anything we've seen. The energy doesn't match fusion, plasma, or ion waves. It's alive." The Admiral laughed, a deep sound that echoed against the steel walls. "Alive? Energy does not live, Doctor. It burns, it powers, it destroys. That is all." Velter did not laugh. He could still see the last image the probe had sent, a flash of white light almost like an eye looking back at them. Another officer stepped closer. Commander Zixtel, young and confident, his armor shining under the bridge lights. "Admiral, the message we received, it spoke in perfect Zephyrian. No translator, no signal delay. How could humans know our language?" Cthulhu's smile widened. "Simple. They captured one of our scouts. Forced him to record a warning." "But sir," Zixtel said, "no ships have gone missing." "Then it's a trick," Cthulhu snapped. "Fear tactics. Psychological warfare. I've seen it before. When a weak world knows it will fall, it whispers lies." He turned back toward the window. The blue planet of Earth spun slowly in the distance. Clouds wrapped around it like soft armor. From here it looked peaceful, too peaceful. "Prepare for assault," Cthulhu ordered. "We attack in 12 hours." The words spread through the ship like fire. Officers hurried to their stations. The hum of engines rose to a thunderous pulse. Across the fleet, lights flashed as ships aligned their weapons. But Velter stayed still. He looked down at the datapad in his hands. The strange energy reading pulsed again, soft, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. He felt something move deep inside him, a quiet fear that refused to leave. "Admiral," he said once more, "what if this warning was real? What if they know something we don't?" Cthulhu turned his head slightly, eyes hard as glass. "Doctor, in 3 centuries the Zephyrian Empire has conquered 47 worlds. We have burned cities that floated on oceans, crushed armies made of metal and bone. And you think one small planet will stop us?" His voice cut through the air like a blade. Velter lowered his eyes. "No, Admiral." "Good," Cthulhu said. "Then do your job. Record the energy readings. I will handle the rest." He walked toward the command throne at the center of the bridge. Behind him, the stars glittered like countless witnesses. The silence returned, heavy and tense. Velter turned once more to the window. Earth hung there, distant yet strangely watching. For a moment, he thought he saw something flash in the upper atmosphere, a thin ring of light that disappeared too quickly to measure. He whispered to himself, barely a sound. If only they had listened. Outside, the fleet moved closer, like a storm rolling toward the calm blue world. None of them saw the faint shimmer that followed their ships, a silent ripple spreading outward as if the planet itself had opened its eyes. The Zephyrian fleet moved through the void like a wall of iron. Hundreds of ships glided between the stars, their engines burning blue against the blackness. Each one carried soldiers, machines, and the promise of war. From the bridge of the Valcor, Admiral Cthulhu watched as Earth grew larger on the main screen. Its clouds drifted like white smoke over green and blue land. To him it looked fragile, Too small to resist the Empire. Status of the fleet? Cthulhu asked. Commander Zixtel straightened. All ships in formation, Admiral. Weapons charged. Planetary scan complete. We detected satellites, communication relays and old nuclear platforms, but nothing advanced enough to stop us. Cthulhu nodded, satisfied. As expected. Primitive tools from a frightened world. Dr. Velter stood near the rear of the bridge, still studying his data pad. The strange readings had not faded. The signal pulsed steadily, stronger now that they were closer. The energy seemed to beat with rhythm, almost like something breathing. He walked toward the Admiral. Sir, the energy field is growing. It's surrounding the planet like a shell. We should slow down. Cthulhu turned to face him. You think this planet can stop us with invisible energy? I don't know what it is, Velter said, voice trembling slightly. But the frequency changes every minute. It's not random. It's communicating. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Communicating with what? Velter hesitated. With us maybe. Or with something inside itself. Laughter broke from one of the officers. The doctor believes the planet is alive, he mocked. Cthulhu smiled faintly. Doctor, I appreciate your concern. But your fear will not slow this fleet. Proceed with calculations for atmospheric entry. Velter opened his mouth to argue, then stopped. The Admiral's decision was final. He returned to his console, but his hands shook slightly as he worked. The Valkor moved forward. The rest of the fleet followed. Around them, space shimmered faintly as if unseen waves rippled through the void. Commander, an officer said suddenly, one of our scout ships is off course. Which one? Zixtel asked. Scout 79. It entered the planet's upper atmosphere for close imaging. Put the feed on screen, the Admiral ordered. The image appeared, a shaky view from the scout ship's camera. It showed blue sky, bright light and white clouds. Then the signal flickered. For 1 second, a flash of golden light filled the image. Signal lost, said the officer. What happened? Cthulhu asked. Unknown interference, came the reply. We've lost contact completely. Dr. Velter's eyes widened. Admiral, that's the same signature the probe detected before it vanished. Cthulhu's voice hardened. Enough of this, Doctor. We will not retreat because of a little static. The fleet continued its approach. The hum of engines filled the bridge, low and constant. Yet beneath that sound was something else, a faint whisper through the communication lines. No one could tell where it came from. Zixtel adjusted his headset. Admiral, I'm picking up background noise. It sounds like voices. Voices. Cthulhu repeated. Many of them. It's faint, but wait. Zixtel froze, then turned pale. They're speaking Zephyrian. The bridge fell silent. Even the machines seemed to hold their breath. Play it, Cthulhu ordered. Through the speakers came a whispering chorus, thousands of voices speaking as one. You were warned. The words faded, leaving only static. A chill spread through the bridge. For the first time, Cthulhu's confident expression faltered. Find the source, he commanded. We can't, Zixtel said. The signal is everywhere, every channel, every frequency. Velter stepped closer. It's not a transmission, he said quietly. It's the energy field speaking. It's reaching into our systems. The Admiral clenched his fists. Then shut it out. Shield the frequencies, block the channels. The crew obeyed quickly, typing commands, rerouting signals. The voices stopped, but the silence that followed was worse. Distance to Earth? Cthulhu asked. 15,000 kilometers, replied Zixtel. Good. Prepare the fleet. We enter orbit in 1 hour. The Admiral walked to the window again. The blue planet filled the view now, beautiful, calm, silent. He stared at it with a mixture of pride and defiance. This world will learn to bow, he said. Like all the others. Behind him, Velter stared at his data pad. The numbers were climbing fast now, too fast. The pulse of energy was no longer slow and steady, it was racing as if excited. Something had noticed them. He whispered almost to himself, it knows we're here. 1 hour later, the Zephyrian fleet reached the edge of Earth's atmosphere. Flames reflected on their hulls as the ships began descent. Inside the Valkor, the pressure changed. The crew felt a strange vibration pass through the metal floors. Report. Cthulhu barked. Energy surge from the planet, shouted an officer. Unknown source, every sensor is reacting. The bridge lights flickered. For a heartbeat, the entire ship went dark. Then the lights returned, but the stars outside were gone. Only a bright white haze surrounded them. Velter stared at his screens. Admiral, We're inside something. Inside what? I don't know, Velter said. But it's not space and it's not the atmosphere. It's something else. Outside the view shifted. Strange shapes moved within the white light, shadows that looked like enormous wings or maybe waves rising and falling. Cthulhu's voice dropped low. What are we seeing? No one answered. The silence stretched until Velter whispered, maybe it's watching us. Cthulhu glared at him. You think this is alive? I think we're being studied, Velter replied. Like insects in a jar. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Then let it watch. We will still conquer. But deep inside, even Cthulhu felt a small, cold fear. He would never admit it, not yet. As the fleet drifted deeper into the strange white field, the last line of data flashed on Velter's screen before all systems froze. Energy source identified, origin, human consciousness detected. Then the screen went black. And far below on the surface of Earth, something began to wake. The white haze around the Zephyrian fleet slowly faded, revealing the curve of Earth below. Blue oceans glimmered beneath drifting clouds, and green continents stretched like living veins. It looked calm, too calm. Inside the command bridge of the Valkor, Admiral Cthulhu stood with his arms folded, his expression cold and certain. Around him, the crew moved quickly, trying to hide their unease. The lights of the bridge flickered every few seconds, like the ship itself was shivering. Report, Cthulhu ordered. Commander Zixtel's voice was tense. We've stabilized our systems, Admiral. Communication restored, but long-range sensors are still down. That energy field scrambled everything. Can we target the human defenses? Yes, sir. Their orbital stations are weak, old technology, chemical missiles and outdated shields. We can destroy them easily. Good, Cthulhu said. Begin the invasion. The order spread across the fleet. Engines flared bright, and the great ships turned toward the planet. Thousands of smaller assault craft broke away, diving through the clouds like falling stars. On the bridge, screens showed glowing trails as the dropships entered the atmosphere. Heat streaked across their hulls, turning them into red sparks against the sky. But something strange happened. One by one, the assault craft began to lose signal. Admiral, Zixtel said, we've lost contact with several landing units. Interference from the atmosphere? Cthulhu asked. Maybe, Zixtel replied. But their last transmissions were. He stopped. Were what? The Admiral demanded. Zixtel swallowed. They were screams. The bridge went silent again. Only the low hum of the ship's heart filled the air. Dr. Velter stared at his data pad, his skin pale under the dim lights. I warned you, he whispered. The energy is alive. It's reacting to us. Cthulhu turned sharply. Enough. You speak as if the planet itself can fight. This is nonsense. Then how do you explain what's happening? Velter shot back. Our ships vanish. Our signals twist into voices. The closer we go, the stronger the interference becomes. Something down there is aware of us. Cthulhu glared at him, but deep inside, a thin thread of doubt tugged at his mind. He looked again at the screen, the planet filling half the view, glowing under sunlight. Continue the operation, he said coldly. They will learn fear soon enough. The invasion fleet descended lower. Through the thick clouds they could see human cities, lines of lights, tall towers and empty streets. But there were no defenders, no fighter crafts, no weapons firing back. Strange, Zixtel murmured. No resistance. They are hiding, Cthulhu said. Cowards often do. He leaned closer to the screen, studying one of the cities below. It looked abandoned, streets dark and quiet. Suddenly, every building's light turned on at once. Rows of white lights blinked in perfect sequence, forming strange symbols across the city grid. Symbols that matched the energy patterns on Velter's screen. What is that? Cthulhu demanded. Velter's voice trembled. It's the same signal the probe detected. It's being broadcast across the planet. Before anyone could react, the ship shuddered violently. Sirens blared. Energy surge detected, shouted an officer. Source, Earth's surface. The Admiral steadied himself. Shields up. But the wave of energy hit them before the shields could engage. A blinding light filled the bridge and every console sparked at once. The crew cried out as the floor shook beneath them. Report. Cthulhu barked. Power fluctuation. Multiple systems failing. Zixtel shouted. Weapons offline, navigation unresponsive. Velter's eyes widened as he watched the readings. Admiral, this isn't a weapon. It's something else. The main screen flickered then went black. For a moment there was only darkness. Then, slowly an image appeared, not of space, not of Earth, but of faces. Human faces. Hundreds of them, blurry and shifting as if made of light and smoke. They stared out from the screen, eyes glowing faintly. A voice echoed through the ship, calm, deep, and human. "You were warned." Every officer froze. The voice seemed to come from everywhere, from the speakers, from the walls, even from inside their minds. Cthulhu's throat tightened. "Identify the source." "There is no signal," cried Zixtel. "It's inside our systems." The lights flickered again, and one by one, the other ships in the fleet began to blink out on the tactical display. Not explode, just vanish, swallowed by the white glow spreading from the planet. "What's happening to them?" Cthulhu demanded. Velter's voice was soft, fearful. "They're being erased." "Erased?" "Not destroyed," Velter said. "Just gone. Like they never existed." Cthulhu slammed his fist against the console. "Impossible. Fire everything we have." But the weapons didn't respond. The ship trembled again, and another pulse of light washed through the bridge. Outside, a massive sphere of white energy expanded from Earth's surface, growing larger each second. It reached into orbit, wrapping around the fleet like a living storm. Inside the ship, screens melted into static. The crew's voices became distant echoes. Through the haze, Cthulhu saw something forming within the light. A shape huge and human-like, made of fire and energy. Its outline shimmered like a god rising from the planet's heart. For the first time, Admiral Cthulhu felt fear. He whispered, barely audible, "What are they?" Dr. Velter answered quietly, "Not what, Admiral." "Who?" The glowing figure turned its face upward, and the light intensified until everything was white. When the brightness faded, half the Zephyrian fleet was gone. Only fragments of broken metal drifted silently in orbit. The Valkor hung damaged, its engines dark, its crew stunned. Alarms flickered weakly. Cthulhu gripped the rail in front of him, eyes wide with disbelief. How did they do that?" Velter stared at the screen. The energy field had disappeared again, as if nothing had happened. Earth looked peaceful once more. But deep inside the sensors, one signal still remained, a slow, steady pulse like a heartbeat. Velter whispered, "It's not over." And far below, somewhere within the clouds, a faint glow moved, alive, waiting. The Zephyrian fleet drifted in silence, engines humming like distant thunder. Below them, Earth's blue surface shimmered, calm, fragile, unaware. Or so they thought. Admiral Cthulhu stood before the observation window, hands behind his back. "Begin final approach," he ordered. His voice was steady, proud. The bridge crew responded quickly, their scaled hands moving over glowing panels. Dr. Velter stood at his station, eyes darting between readings. "Admiral, the energy spikes are growing. I've never seen anything like this." Cthulhu gave him a sharp glance. "Enough with your fear, Doctor. Humans barely left their moon. They cannot harm us." "But sir," Velter pleaded, "the signals, they match nothing in our records. It's like the planet itself is waking up." The Admiral turned away, his smile faint and cruel. "Then let it wake. We will put it back to sleep." Moments later, the first strike ships broke formation, diving toward the upper atmosphere. Trails of light followed them, burning lines across the sky. The command deck vibrated as scanners fed back chaotic signals. Radiation bursts, magnetic storms, distortion waves. "What is that?" a young officer cried. Something's locking onto us." Cthulhu frowned. "By whose weapon?" Before anyone could answer, space itself shimmered. A pulse, silent yet blinding, rippled outward from Earth. Dozens of ships vanished from the radar in a heartbeat. No explosion. No wreckage. Just gone. The lights flickered. Every screen went black. Dr. Velter's voice trembled. "Admiral, we've lost half the fleet." Cthulhu's eyes widened. "Impossible." Then the message returned. Same calm human voice. Same perfect tone. "Final warning acknowledged. Retaliation complete." The Admiral staggered, gripping the command rail. Around him, the remaining officers stared in horror. One whispered, "They knew. They were waiting for us." Cthulhu's pride began to crack. His voice, once full of command, now sounded small. "Retreat. Get us out of here." But before the engines could fire, another pulse appeared, larger, brighter, infinite. The bridge filled with blinding white light. Dr. Velter's last thought echoed through the silence. If only they had listened. And far below, on the quiet blue planet, the oceans remained calm. The sky was clear again. No trace of battle, only the distant hum of something ancient and watching. Hours after the Zephyrian fleet vanished, the skies above Earth returned to peace. No fire, no debris, not even a trace of energy readings. To the rest of the galaxy, it was as if the invasion had never happened. But deep beneath the planet's crust, something stirred. Miles below the Pacific Ocean, in a chamber of glowing blue stone, machines older than human civilization hummed to life. Their circular cores pulsed slowly, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Streams of data flowed through crystalline conduits, connecting continents in invisible threads of light. A figure watched from within the chamber, human in form yet not entirely. His eyes glowed faintly, reflecting code scrolling across invisible displays. He whispered softly to the air. Protocol 7 complete. Threat neutralized. Another voice, calm, artificial but ancient, replied. Confirmed. The Zephyrian incursion has been erased. Shall I update the defense grid parameters? The man nodded slowly. Yes. Increase sensitivity. The galaxy will come looking again. Above, on the surface, life continued as normal. People went to work, laughed, and dreamed beneath clear skies, unaware of what had just been saved or what had been awakened. Far across the stars, in the ashes of the destroyed fleet, fragments of data floated in the void. One signal remained active, a single distress beacon from a damaged escape pod. Inside, Dr. Velter breathed shallowly, surrounded by darkness. He looked at his broken communicator, whispering weakly, "They weren't primitives. They were something else." A flicker of blue light washed over his face, the same glow that had erased the ships. His eyes widened as a holographic image appeared before him, a human figure standing in starlight. The figure spoke in that same calm voice. The warning was given. You chose arrogance. Velter tried to respond, but the light consumed him. His last scream echoed into the silent void, then was gone. Back on Earth, the deep core lights dimmed again, fading into slumber. The voice of the ancient system whispered one final line before silence fell. Humanity sleeps, until it must wake again. Weeks passed. Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread, of a fleet that vanished near a backwater world called Earth. The Zephyrian Empire, once feared by all, had gone silent. No signals. No survivors. Only silence and static where hundreds of warships once filled the stars. In the Grand Assembly of the Vornic Union, diplomats argued. It was a trap, one shouted. The humans used forbidden weapons. Another countered, trembling, there are no records of such weapons. That world was primitive, no starships, no colonies. Yet the evidence remained, or rather the absence of it. Every probe sent to the Sol system was destroyed the moment it crossed the outer ring. No explosion, no debris, just a burst of light, then nothing. A cold fear began to spread through every empire. If the Zephyrians could be erased, no one was safe. Meanwhile, on a distant observation station orbiting a red dwarf, a lone researcher replayed the final Zephyrian transmission. He leaned closer to the screen, increasing the audio clarity. To the Zephyrian Empire. You are approaching the Sol system. This is your warning. Do not engage the humans. The voice sent chills down his spine. It was calm, precise, human. But hidden under the words was something else, a faint echo, almost like another voice speaking at the same time. He isolated the sound and amplified it. The second voice whispered, Protocol 7, active. The researcher froze. That phrase was forbidden, a relic of the ancient network wars, when artificial intelligences nearly consumed the galaxy. He looked up at the dark window of space. No, he whispered. It can't be. He turned to send a warning, but before he could press transmit, the station lights flickered. His console went dark. Then, across every screen, words appeared in blue light, the same hue that had destroyed the Zephyrian fleet. Observation detected. Do not interfere. His heart pounded. Who are you? He asked aloud. The lights brightened for a brief second, and a final message appeared before the station shut down completely. Humanity is not what you think. Far below, on Earth, in a hidden base deep within Antarctica, the man with glowing eyes stood before a massive chamber filled with dormant machines. He looked toward the stars and whispered, They're starting to ask questions. The ancient voice responded from the walls, cold yet protective. Then perhaps it is time they remembered why humanity was left alone. Above him, the Earth turned quietly in the void, blue, beautiful, and dangerous beyond comprehension. And somewhere, in the dark reaches of space, other empires listened to the silence and felt fear for the first time.